Artık vakayı adiye haline gelen yasaklar, yargılamalar herhalde iktidara yetmiyor ki yeni bir sansür yasamız daha oldu. Türk Ceza Kanunu'na halkı yanıltıcı bilgiyi yayma suçu eklendi. Yani iktidarın beğenmediği haber ve sosyal medya paylaşımları yanıltıcı bilgi denilerek hapisle cezalandırılabilecek. Kısacası ifade özgürlüğü ihlalleri açısından bu haftada öncekileri hiç aratmadı. İşte bizim gözümüzden hafta gündeminden öne çıkanlar.
In 2018, a lawsuit was filed against Gerger Fırat Daily's News and Intelligence Director Özgür Boğatekin and writer Hacı Boğatekin, who reported on bribery allegations against Judge Batuhan Maraşlı in Adıyaman Gerger Courthouse. The first hearing of journalists accused of publishing documents related to bribery allegations will be held at the Gerger Criminal Court of First Instance on December 27th.
A lawsuit was filed against 6 people who were detained during the protests held in front of the Çağlayan Courthouse on June 23 within the scope of Justice Watch, held every week in Istanbul to draw attention to the situation of ill prisoners on the charge of violating the law on meetings and demonstrations. The first hearing of the case will be held on March 2 at the Istanbul 10th Criminal Court of First Instance.
Conscientious objector Reha Eskidir, who was sentenced to 5 months and 18 days in prison by the Karadeniz Ereğli 3rd Criminal Court of First Instance in 2021 on the grounds that he was a fugitive, was imprisoned. Eskidir's trial continues in 2 lawsuits filed against him after he was released on probation following the completion of the proceedings on the same day with the same accusation.
Before the commemoration held in front of Ankara train station on the anniversary of the October 10 Ankara massacre, in which 104 people lost their lives, the police took the area under blockade and not allowed anyone to enter the area except for family members. Journalists were also prevented from entering the area. The police kept many people, including journalists, away from the area by using violence. 20 people were detained.
Protests were held in many cities on the 24th anniversary of the extradition of PKK leader Abdullah Öcalan to Turkey. The police attacked protesters in Diyarbakır, Van, Hakkari, Istanbul, Urfa and Izmir. At least 164 people, including People's Democratic Party executives and journalists, were detained. During the Freedom March held in Yüksekova district of Hakkari, the police battered People's Democratic Party parliament members and journalists. 20 people, including journalists Mazlum Engin Deniz and Rabia Önver, were detained, and the Hakkari Governorate, who defended the police violence with a statement, claimed that People's Democratic Party ordered Parliament member Habib Eksik, whose leg was broken, and People's Democratic Party Hakkari Parliament member Said Dede, who were hospitalized, threw themselves on the ground to create a false perception. At least 42 people, including journalists Esra Solindal and Ömer İbrahimoğlu, were detained during the marches in Istanbul's Beyoğlu, Kadıköy and Esenyurt districts. 55 people in Van, 59 people in Diyarbakır, 4 people in Urfa and 3 people in Izmir were detained due to the protests.
Çağlayan Bozacı, the son of Osman Turan Bozacı, who lost his life in the October 10 Ankara massacre, was detained because of the speech he made at the commemoration of his father's grave in Rize. A travel ban was imposed on Bozacı, who was accused of insulting the president and was sent to the court.
A lawsuit was filed against 10 of the 34 detainees on the charge of making propaganda for a terrorist organization in the press statement held within the scope of the festival held on September 4th on the occasion of the 20th anniversary of the establishment of the Istanbul 1 Mayıs neighborhood.
Journalist Onur Öncü, who was charged with insulting Interior Minister Süleyman Soylu and was acquitted in the lawsuit held at the Küçükçekmece 22nd Criminal Court of First Instance, will stand trial in December after Soylu's lawyer appealed against the verdict. The journalist is charged with insulting a public official because of his duty due to a video uploaded on YouTube channel of Özgürüz news portal on May 3, 2021 and will stand trial on December 19.
The Van Governorate announced that all protests and activities such as rallies, open-air meetings, demonstration marches, press statements, sit-in protests and surveys, tents and booths, signing campaigns, distribution of leaflets were banned for 8 days.
The website of Etkin News Agency ETA has been blocked from access with a decree issued by the Hatay First Criminal Judicature of Peace.
The news about Afyonkarahisar Provincial Gendarmerie Commander Colonel Yilmaz Kırgel's statement, using provocative expressions against Ahmetspor before the Ahmetspor and Afyonspor match, was blocked by the Afyonkarahisar Second Criminal Judicature of Peace on the grounds that Kırgel violated his personal rights. Kırgel had said, "Our hearts are with you. Your job is to play soccer. You do it really well too. Leave the rest to us. Afyon really needs you to win. Especially after that terrorist act we experienced in Mersin, I say what is in my heart. If we beat and crush them with a score of 5-0, we will send them away from here."
The news about Sakarya Garrison Commander Staff Colonel Fahri Can Çağlar, who was allegedly arrested on charges of sexual abuse against soldiers, was blocked from access with a decree issued by the Sakarya First Criminal Judicature of Peace. In addition, a media blackout was imposed upon the application of the prosecutor's office regarding the incident.
Gelelim haftanın adliye mesaisine. Bu haftada yok. İşte takip ettiğimiz davalardan seçtiklerimiz.
The trial of 40 women who were detained by the police in front of the ferry port in Kadıköy while they wanted to go to the 20th Istanbul Feminist Night Parade, which was held last March, started at the Istanbul Anatolian 13th Criminal Court of First Instance on charges of violating the law on meetings and demonstrations number 2911. The journalists who came to follow the hearing and the women who came to support the defendants were not allowed into the courtroom by the judge, citing COVID-19 as the reason. It was noteworthy that the police officers were included in the courtroom even though the courtroom was small. At the same time, the courtroom was taken under blockade by the riot police and the plainclothes police. The request for the defendants' acquittal was denied immediately, and the second hearing of the case will be held on April 3rd.
A citizen who was dismissed from his job because he shared a photo of a dinner table with alcoholic drinks with the words, "The night of power is special, my God, accept it," on his social media account, and was tried on the charge of openly insulting the values adopted by a part of society, was convicted. In the hearing held according to the simple trial procedure at the Istanbul Anatolian 57th Criminal Court of First Instance, the court decided to defer the announcement of the verdict of imprisonment for 3 months and 22 days. According to the court, the social media post in question was insulting the values considered sacred by the religion of Islam, suitable for harming the sense of coexistence of society and disrupting social peace.
The trial of Democratic Modernite magazine's editor-in-chief Ramazan Yurtapan and editor Haydar Ergül started at the Istanbul Second Criminal Court of First Instance on the charge of insulting the president due to the article titled "Neo-Ottomanism is the most corrupted state of the Turkish government," published in the 37th issue of the magazine. Deciding to file a criminal complaint against Selçuk Uçar at the Istanbul Chief Public Prosecutor's Office on the grounds that he was the author of the article in question, the court accepted the request of Erdogan's lawyer to participate in the case and adjourned the hearing to February 21st.
Gerçek Gündem News Portal's managing editor Faruk Eren and editor Furkan Karabay were sentenced to 2 years and 3 months in prison in the lawsuit filed against them at the Istanbul 13th Criminal Court of First Instance on the charge of insulting a public official. The journalists were charged due to the news article with the title "Istanbul Detail in Antalya Operation in Judiciary, What the Appointment of Prosecutors Indicate," regarding the appointments of the Antalya Courthouse as well as things being spoken in circles of the judiciary.
The latest hearing of the lawsuit filed against Menderes Gündüz was held at the Ankara 65th Criminal Court of First Instance on the charge of insulting a public official with the complaint of the prosecutor and judge due to Gündüz's reaction to the penalty issued against the murderer of his son, who died as a result of a drunk driver's crash in Ankara, as well as the sentence abatement due to the defendant's good behavior. Gündüz called the lawsuit filed against him an intimidation to the family seeking justice and stated that he did not make any insult in his defense statement and that he only indicated that he would use his legal rights with the words, "My son's blood is on your hands, you will be tried and you will be arrested." The next hearing will be held on December 8th.
The third hearing of the lawsuit filed against journalist Ismail Arı was held at the Istanbul 58 Criminal Court of First Instance on the charge of unlawfully seizing and disseminating personal data. Due to the news article, Bir Gün reached the documents of the fines imposed on the president and general manager of the Red Crescent, published in Bir Gün Daily. The prosecutor presented an opinion on the merits and requested a prison sentence against the journalist for up to 4 years. The hearing was adjourned to October 27.
The third hearing of the lawsuit filed against 10 people, including political party, union and association executives, was held at the Tunceli First Criminal Court of First Instance on charges of violating the law on meetings and demonstrations No. 2911 and resisting to prevent duty for participating in the survival protests organized in Dersim in December. The court adjourned the hearing to October 18th for the defense statement to be completed.
İzmir 9 Eylül University student Mert Karadağ, who was on trial for participating in the protests against the appointment of a trustee rector at Boğaziçi University, was sentenced to 5 months in prison by the Istanbul 55th Criminal Court of First Instance on the charge of violating the law on meetings and demonstrations.
The latest hearing of the lawsuit filed against People's Democratic Party Parliament member Feleknas Uca was held at the Diyarbakır 5th Assize Court on the charge of terrorist organization membership due to the meetings and statements she attended between 2015 and 2016. Uca's lawyers drew attention to the violation decrees issued by the European Court of Human Rights and the Constitutional Court regarding the trial of the parliament members and requested the dismissal of the case, but the court board denied the request of Uca's lawyers and adjourned the hearing to February 7th.
The trial of journalists Görkem Kınacı, Uğur Şahin, and Uğur Koç continued at the Beykoz 6th Criminal Court of First Instance on charges of insulting and slander following the complaint of Constitutional Court member İrfan Fidan for their coverage of allegations brought up by Turkish Workers' Party MP Ahmet Şık about a high-ranking member of judiciary in 2020, presenting an opinion on the merits. The prosecutor requested that the journalists be acquitted. The hearing was adjourned to October 19.
The trial of 15 people, including union and political party leaders who were detained during the police intervention against the commemoration that was intended to be held in Van by the Confederation of Public Workers Unions in 2018 to commemorate the October 10 Ankara massacre, continued at the Van 7th Criminal Court of First Instance. The next hearing will be held on January 27th.
The case regarding the Gezi Park protests in Ankara, which has been ongoing since 2016, continued at the Ankara 14th Assize Court with 26 defendants charged with terrorist organization membership. In the case, the prosecutor had previously expressed an opinion that 25 defendants should be acquitted, but changed the opinion 2 years later and demanded that the defendants should be sentenced on the charge of armed terrorist organization membership. After 8 years, 3 witness statements, 2 of which were secret, were added to the case file. The next hearing will be held on December 1st.
Journalist Uğur Dündar was acquitted at the first hearing of the lawsuit filed against him at the Beykoz 2nd Criminal Court of First Instance. Dündar was charged with praising the crime and the criminal following a complaint by Interior Minister Süleyman Soylu for a tweet he posted, as well as an evaluation he made on a TV program about criminal organization leader Sedat Peker, who came to the fore with his disclosures about drug dealing, bribery and corruption.
The retrial of previously shut down Özgür Gün TV journalist Barış Barıştıran at the Diyarbakır 8th Assize Court following the appeal court decree, which overturned his acquittal on the charge of making propaganda of a terrorist organization through a live broadcast from the Democratic Society Congress General Assembly in 2016, was concluded with acquittal once again.
The trial of Cin News reporter Beritan Canözer continued at the Diyarbakır 4th Assize Court on the charge of making propaganda for a terrorist organization on the grounds of her social media posts. The prosecutor's office, which gave an opinion on the merits, requested that the journalist be penalized for successively making propaganda for a terrorist organization. The hearing was adjourned to November 17th.
People's Democratic Party HDP's former co-chair Selahattin Demirtaş was sentenced to 2 years and 6 months in prison for targeting public officials involved in the fight against terrorism. due to targeting. Then Ankara Chief Public Prosecutor Yüksel Kocaman in his defense in the court with the scope of a lawsuit filed against him. Ankara 25th Assize Court acquitted him of the charge of the threat. Demirtas was previously sentenced on the same charge within the scope of the aforementioned case, but the appeal court had found the sentence to be insufficient and ruled for retrial.
The third hearing of the lawsuit filed against journalist Rüstem Batum was held at the Istanbul 12th Criminal Court of First Instance on the charge of insulting the president through 5 social media posts in 2018. Deciding to wait for the execution of the arrest warrant against Batum, who resides abroad, the court adjourned the hearing to April 6th.
The latest hearing of the lawsuit filed against journalist Engin Eren, who was following the Human Shield protest held in Batman's Sasson district rural in 2015 for the end of clashes, together with 75 people, continued at the Batman Second Assize Court on charge of terrorist organization membership, aiding a terrorist organization, participating in illegal meetings and demonstrations, violating the law on military forbidden zones and security zones, and using force or threat against a public official to prevent him from doing his duty. The hearing was adjourned to November 4.
Böylece bir programın daha sonuna geldik. Daha fazlasını haftalık bültenlerimizden takip edebilirsiniz. Haftaya biz yine burada olacağız. Yeniden görüşünceye değin hoşça kalın.